Hi and welcome to this episode of Cervello Live. I am Chris Dames, as you probably know if you're watching this. I don't know why I did that bit. It's the 2nd of July 2020. We're back in the office and barbers are open on Saturday. I don't know, I used to get excited about like really big stuff, Charlotte, but she's just ignoring me. But I'm now excited about going to the barbers. So it's been an interesting time. Today I want to talk to you about what financial planners can do for you that you probably don't expect. But we've also got an amazing guest who's come to join us to talk about what she can do to help both you and your business. It's Sarah. How you doing, Sarah? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. What thing are you looking forward to the most as lockdown eases now?
Going out partying.
Okay, that's a good one. How about the kids going back to school? That's got to be a biggie, right?
My kids are already back, so luckily I've got some back 4 days and one back 3 days. So I've been quite lucky.
Yeah, don't rub it in. So what we'll do is we'll talk a little bit about you and your business. But what I want to do first of all is just what we do each week on Cervello Live is share some really useful tips that are going to help our viewers and listeners, regardless of whether you view it live or like many of you watch it on LinkedIn or Facebook, repeat. Just try and share some useful tips. And thanks for the feedback you're sending about the show and the fact that you're enjoying it. That really makes it worthwhile. So in my segment today, I want to talk a little bit about the things that you probably wouldn't expect a financial advisor or planner to talk about or help you with as part of going to see a financial planner. Because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding in terms of what a financial planner actually delivers. And I'm going to make a really clear difference now, because a financial advisor does a slightly different job to a financial planner. Financial advisors typically, traditional financial advisors are typically about product. I see our job at Cervello, and there's loads of other great financial planning firms across the country who think in a similar way to us. Our job's about people and helping people achieve their goals using money as a tool. And what that means is that our conversations, typically with our clients, are a lot broader than products. They're a lot more in-depth, detailed, and more about helping somebody achieve their goals. And what I want to do is talk about some of the things that we support our clients with, giving you some real-life scenarios. And it's probably stuff that you don't expect a financial planner to do. So number one is encourage people to spend more money. I've got a client, she's been a client of mine for 10 years now. She's in her early 70s, and we had a review. Like all of our clients, we review their circumstances every year. So this particular lady said to me earlier in the year, lockdown's been tough. I've been healthy, but I've really missed travelling, so I want to plan a big trip around the world when we come out of lockdown, probably next year. And I need to know whether I can afford to do it. Now, this particular lady is single, she's got no dependents, she's got nobody financially reliant on her or her inheritance. So she's actually got the freedom to spend. And what she needed from us is a bit of permission to say, actually, we've done the maths, you're not going to run out of money, spend more money. Because actually, using money as a tool to enjoy your life is the important thing. And even this particular lady in her early 70s just needed that independent validation of somebody saying, you know, it's going to be all right. You know, you've got enough in the reserve, in the pot, to make sure that you won't run out of money again. So that's point one. We encourage, when it's right, people to spend more money. Number two, a lot of the work we do is with families. So it might be sort of nan and granddad who have built the wealth, or it might be mum and dad who have built the wealth, but typically they want to pass it on to their family. If they've got kids, they want to pass it on to their family. And one thing we do is make sure that as part of our service, with our clients, we ensure that we also are a point of contact for their kids. So that if anything happens to them, their kids can come to us, all their financial information's in one place, and effectively it makes life easier at a time when emotionally it's tough, like if you've had a death in the family. Our job on a lot of occasions is to reassure, make life simpler and easier for our clients, and reassure them that if they're in a position where they need help, we're here. And we've done that a few times with the children of clients of ours to help them sort out their affairs. So we encourage all of our clients to let their kids know or members of their family know that we're their advisor, and with their permission we're happy to have a conversation with them. Number 3 is point people in the direction of specialists. So we're not experts on everything, we don't pretend to be. We're really good at giving people financial clarity and helping them achieve their financial goals, but often that means bringing specialists and experts in to help us support achieve those goals. And again, this is part of the reason we do Cervello Live, because it allows us to share some of the things that we can, in addition to what we do as a business, support our clients with. So we certainly do that. So client comes to us, we're going to be in a position where we're going to be thinking about and talking about who might be the right person in a specialist area to support that individual and make those introductions. So we do a decent amount of that. Number 4 is make the most of the money you keep in the bank. So certainly with a lot of our clients, they've got investments and they've got pensions and they might have property as their longer term assets, but they're holding money in cash as an emergency fund or as a rainy day fund, or for those short term goals, for stuff that they might be spending money over the next course of the next year on. Now, interest rates at the minute are very low, but we've got a piece of software we're using, Cervello, that effectively scales the market and finds the best deposit-based interest rates for that money, and we can support our clients in that way. Number 5 is help people clarify their personal goals and link them to their financial goals, and sometimes, and quite often with our business owner clients, their business goals. I'm a firm believer in life is for living. Life is for the experiences you build over time that mean that you can look back with amazing memories. And certainly a lot of my conversations with new clients who have come to us over the last couple of weeks has been that lockdown's been allowed them to think about what those personal goals might be, because they've had the time to reflect on what's really important. Now, for some people, that's been, I actually want to slow down and do less work. For some people, including me, I actually realise how much I miss going into the office. But regardless of what your goals are, it's important to take the time to reflect. And what good financial planners do is act as coaches to help people understand what they really, really want to achieve. And using money as a tool for life, not the other way around. Not money as a ambition in and of itself, but as a tool to live the life you want. Number 6 is to help you do that. We're really good at providing financial clarity. Where you are now, where you need to get to that level of financial independence to achieve the life you want, and what steps you need to take to get there. But investing is an emotional journey, because regardless of what you invest in, markets go up and down, and what we've seen over the last 3 months is markets doing that. And our job as professionals is to act as emotional support for our clients when they phone us and panic, and sometimes that happens, so we make sure that we're there to support them in that case. I think a lot of and what we've seen during lockdown as well is a lot of scams and a lot of people offering shiny investment opportunities that are not guaranteed, not going to deliver what they say they're going to deliver. And part of our job, certainly with clients, but also broader than that, because we believe in making sure that people don't fall for these scams, is protect our clients and our wider community against the shiny stuff that looks too good to be true and usually is. And then after all that, we provide financial advice. So we provide advice on products, investment and protection products that deliver that solution. But in terms of what we do, it's a lot broader than just delivering and advising on products. For us, it's people focused, not product focused, and that's why the product bit comes at the end after everything else we do to help understand what you're looking to achieve, help you get there, and provide expertise and support along the way. Now, the good news is I can now take a break from speaking because we're going to get Sarah involved. So Sarah, thanks for bearing with us on that. Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I think the first thing you should know is I'm a teetotal raver. It's a big part of my life. I've never grown out of partying. And I think a lot of people know me for that. And my friends especially. How these things are implemented. So that's how Sway was born, because I could see there was this need to bridge the gap between a consultancy and a coaching service, because you've got all these experts in the field selling their services, but they don't quite often think about the bigger picture. And then you've got these coaches helping the business owner think about the bigger picture, but then leaving the business owner thinking, how on earth am I going to change all of this?
Yeah.
So that's what was born.
Well, I suppose the interesting thing is, like, sort of as you say, you know that if you go through a coaching process, you've got a million jobs to do, but you've still got the same amount of hours in the day to achieve it. So,
yeah.
I think in the growth of our business over the past few years, the biggest skill, without a shadow of a doubt, has been to delegate and just get other people to help me. And I think that's what holds a lot of people back in businesses, right?
Yes, it does. Not fully understanding what they can delegate and who they can delegate it to.
Yeah. So help me understand a little bit about, because I know that you're quite strong on making sure that people have got the right systems and processes in place in their business as well.
Yeah.
What process do you go through to help people make sure that's right?
So our system is called the Sway Way, and it's very much focused on stabilising the business, making it as profitable as it can be, and then scaling it either for growth for the business owner or to sell it. So that's the process we follow, and we do that by having initially a big deep dive into the business, so a full assessment. Now this does vary depending on the size of the business, but it starts with where are you, where do you want to get to? So it's the same with your financial planning. What does your business look like now? What do we want it to look like? What changes need to happen? And what are the steps? What needs to come first? So it's a very pragmatic approach, but with this end goal in mind. Stabilise it, make it as profitable as possible, and then scale.
Yeah, okay. So, what happens if that's not the ambition of the business owner? Or should it always be?
What do you mean?
So let's say, for example, the business owner's got a lifestyle business. Would that just typically not be your client? You're looking for somebody who's got the ambition to grow and scale a business to a certain level.
Yeah. Yeah, so we want to help those business owners that have got this growth mindset that they're doing what they love, they're doing it really well, but they want to grow it, they want to make it bigger.
Yeah, and actually having that niche means that some clients won't be right for you, right?
Yeah, exactly. At the beginning, I don't know if lots of business owners go through this, but I feel like it's quite common. You kind of don't want a niche. You want to help everybody, but you can't. Yeah. So we've decided to focus on construction, IT, and product startups or product retailers, because I spent 10 years in retail and I just love the product world. It's something that I'm really passionate about. I spent a lot of time growing a scaffolding business, and actually the needs that they have are very much the same across all the different trades. It does need to be tweaked slightly, but quite often that construction world, how the business needs to change is the same. And then the IT, because I've taken on a COO that I used to work with when I worked in the city, and she is an engineer. She's got an engineer background and she comes from an IT world. So it makes sense for me to focus on construction, her to focus on the IT, and then we've got this product that we share.
Sounds good. Yeah, sounds really good. Help me understand a little bit about, so just talking about that systems and processes side, just tell me the story of how you've worked with the business, even if it is the scaffolding business, of how you took them from a point where the systems and processes were either non-existent or not what they needed to be, through to a point where it worked. And what was the impact on the business?
Well, I think, I want to share my favourite example, which is the startup that I'm working with at the moment, just because the reward of how much better their working life has been great for me to see. So I took on they're a startup, but they've had absolutely such success with their products. So they created these luxury fragrance products, candles and diffusers, and they've got huge scope for more to add to that range. And they just kind of had an idea that they want to create these products that are different for these real high-end users, luxury homes. And they spent 2 years creating a product, not really knowing anything about business, and then just started selling it. And they had such success selling it, but actually just the process of getting one out the door was really quite time consuming for them. So the first thing that we did, so we did the initial, right, where are you, where do you want to get to? But then we started getting in the thick of what is their system just from processing a sale. So we did a load of integration work with their website, so they no longer need to manually, they used to pick an order off the website and then manually upload that to Xero. So we've got that sorted straight away. That was quite an easy fix. And then they were getting all these emails from wholesalers, because they sell to retail and wholesale. So they were having to process manually these requests from wholesalers. And I said, look, we can do all this via the website. So we got all that sorted. So we've created accounts for the wholesalers. So when they log in, they get the wholesale price, they place their order automatically. And then we did a sales plan for them. So they were really reluctant to spend money on marketing, because it's quite a scary thing to just chuck a load of money into the abyss and not really know where it's going to spend. But what we actually did was we did an analysis of where their marketing efforts had been and where they'd spent and where they'd worked and where they hadn't. And then we put a plan in place for their growth to sell through the stock that they've got so they can increase their product range. And then we kind of broke down that marketing. So when they were making decisions on what they were going to spend in marketing, they just found it so much clearer and easier, because actually they were basing everything that they spent on emotion rather than having the information behind them. So we're still working with them. There's still a lot of work to do to build those foundations that they need in their business, but just giving them back time from all that manual input that they needed to do. And now they're looking at a stock manager that can manage that process. Yeah. And helping them to make decisions clearer, because actually a lot of businesses are held back by not being able to make the decisions because they're just not clear on what's right. And giving them a light at the end of the tunnel. They put all this money into the business that they'd inherited, and they were like, are we ever going to get it back? Yeah. And they couldn't see that. So now they're like, right, they've got tools in place to manage their finances. They've got tools in place to look at their sales and their growth and keep a track of that. And now they've got this much more streamlined, automated process. So it's been really nice seeing the reward of that and that coming from them being able to enjoy their job a bit more.
Well, I suppose the other thing about that is you've got people who are passionate about the product and know their product's good, but you've got to have all the data to allow you to make those business decisions. And a lot of us, probably including me at the start with a desire to help, but need to learn all of these skills, or get somebody else to do it who's better at it than you. I mean, that's the key factor. So
it's the typical E-Myth business owner, right? It's the entrepreneur that starts a business and doesn't consider any of the business management functions that are needed. But that's great, right? Because it means we have all these amazing entrepreneurs going out into business, but then people like me can come and go, right, well, that's amazing that you've done that, but let us build this properly.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing we've touched on already, and I want to explore a bit more. You talked about the fact that you part of your job is to be the professional social butterfly, as you called it, to connect people to the right people. How do you build a network like that, and how do you know who to trust? Because that's, certainly when we're building our network, it's really important that we pick people that we 100% are confident we can sit in front of our clients. How do you build that network of trust?
I do a huge amount of networking, and part of that is to meet new people, but also to keep my ear to the ground of what's trending, what's changing. So my ethos is I network so you don't have to, from a knowing who to use. So it's not from a lead generation, but from a understanding who's out there and what they're offering. Yeah. But I think actually part of it is really understanding the brief and understanding the fit of people. So part of what I do as that connecting of people is, yes, I have some go-to suppliers that I know that I've tried and tested, and I know that they'll deliver for me. But actually and I think this is where business owners do go wrong. It's that fully understanding the brief. If you go to a website company and say, I need a website, they're going to sell you a website because they build websites. They're not going to think about the bigger picture. Whereas what I do is go, right, okay, we do need a website, but what do we need that website to look like? What do we need that website to do? Where do we need it to be? Where do we need it to be performing? What data do we need off the back of it? So we do this with everything. So it's really fully understanding the brief, so that when that brief gets put over to whoever's going to deliver, they've got something to work towards. It's not, and this is what we find. They're experts at one thing and you're experts in your business, but it's marrying those two conversations together so that when you ask somebody to do something for you, you know exactly what you're asking them to do, you know exactly why you're asking them to do it, and they know exactly what they've got to deliver. So I think that's kind of where the skill comes in, and that's where I sit in the middle, because I do have that good understanding and I can articulate it to the people that I need. Plus I have this network of people that I know are the best for each customer.
Yeah, and I suppose the interesting thing about that is something as simple as a website could either be a brochure, it could be an online shop, it could be the purpose of a website is different for each business, right? And yes. I think sometimes businesses don't think about why have we got that there? Oh, we were told we should have a website. Great, but what's its job? What is it designed to do?
So when I worked in the city, I was a project manager, and I worked with a business analyst. So that business analyst in any project would spec out everything. So everything would be really detailed, in granular detail, and that's what I'm used to. So no, I'm not an expert. I couldn't build a website, but what I do know is all the different aspects of it. Now, I know we've only spoken about websites, because this applies to across the business, whether it be legal. I'm not a solicitor. I wouldn't be able to write down a contract, but I'd understand all the intricate details that are needed, and then I'd be able to spec that out. So I kind of, even though I'm a business manager, that's my title, I've got that business analyst element that knows, right, we actually really need to spec this out and it needs to deliver.
And it's not a plan to us, but do you reckon business starters are traditionally not particularly good at operations?
Yes, So generally, it's like, and it's not the same for everyone because we've all got different personality profiling, and I'm really fascinated in this profiling since I think I started learning about my own profile a couple of years ago, and I'm fascinated by it. But yeah, generally they're the creatives, so they're the starters, not the finishers.
Yeah.
Generally.
And what was your, just out of interest, what was your business profile? What did you come out as?
So on the disc, if you know that, I'm a high ID, so that's an influencer and direct. So I think it's obvious that I'm quite direct, and yes, the social networking, being with people, is the influencer side. And then on the wealth dynamics, I was part creator, which is where I get my visionary thinking and creative solution problem solving. Part mechanic, which is the doing part, the project manager of me. And then I was part, I'm just trying to think of the other bit. I was part something else as well, but I can't remember what it is now. It might come to me, so if it does, I'll tell you.
Okay, I didn't realise you were that direct, to be honest. I'm joking, of course I realised. Right, so tell me, I'm sure that you probably see businesses making typical common mistakes each time. Talk to me a little bit about the typical mistakes, particularly startup businesses make.
Well, so I think there's two mistakes. Not making a decision on something, that's what holds them back quite often. And then when they do make the decision, you're choosing the wrong people. And I see this over and over. And I end up going into places like, well, we did have that done, but they didn't quite get it done right. So it goes back to this choosing someone to deliver a service and neither party's really fully understanding. So you just get sold to something and then they don't deliver. Yeah. So it's quite often that, and you spend a lot of time and money researching to find services and not quite understanding what it is. So they're the two biggest things. Startups quite often just go full steam ahead with launching something and they haven't put the foundations in place. But that's really quite common, and but that makes it really, really interesting for us to then go back and start from scratch and build those foundations so that they've got a stable thing to grow from.
But I think the interesting thing there is sometimes that paralysis of not making a decision means that, I mean, one of the best pieces of business advice I think I've ever had was we've got an introducer who introduces clients into our business who runs quite a big insurance firm in town. And the MD there, really nice guy, sat down with him over a drink, and he said to me, the mistake that I made at the start, and he had a business coach that supported him through this journey, the mistake he made at the start is taking too much time to make decisions, when actually the best way to do it was to make the decision, and then if it's not the right choice, you just make another one and recorrect. And I think that journey and just like sort of slowly evolving your, but always making small steps of progress is important, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay, so tell me the difference between how you might support one of a startup business who's wants to launch a new product to market compared to a more established business that are in their next journey of growth.
Well, quite often with the startups, it's the foundation building. So it's the putting in the basics, processes, procedures, automating whatever they can. And then for the medium business, they've likely got, because the startup remembers wearing multiple hats. So they're having to kind of go between being the operations manager, the sales and marketing, and the bookkeeper. So it's getting them to a place where they can focus on the high value items, the delivering or the sales, and then helping them to build out, whether it be an outsourced team or an in-house team, and getting those processes and streamlined in place. For the medium and larger organisations, quite often they've got that already set up. So it's then looking at where are there inefficiencies? Where can we improve what you've got in place? Are there new systems? Are there new processes? Is there more things we can streamline? But then also, are you as profitable as you can be? Are there places we can save money? Have you got an in-house team that's not performing and that would be better outsourced? Are your team engaged? So it's a bit more of a wider ream of work, and it's more then about efficiency and profitability.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. Now, you're clearly passionate about what you do. You clearly love it. What drives you? What gets you up in the morning?
Well, our strapline is "Don't grow it alone," and I think this very much feeds into my why, my personal why. Business can be a lonely place, and you know, myself, I've been through a real journey of personal growth and self-development, and you know, there's been real times of trouble, and I think it's natural for any business owner to go through real ups and downs in life, personally and in business. So I think for me, it's about giving a business owner that outlet, somebody that is trusted, they can, they've got them to go to help them make those decisions or help support them with the change that needs to be implemented. So it's very much freeing people from feeling trapped from a business perspective, which goes into my why. Like I'm all about providing the tools for those that are trapped from loneliness or self-sabotage. Is something I'm hugely passionate about. And I really want to make this world a better place. So for me, I can do that through business and people. So I don't just focus on the business owner. And I think this is quite often where coaches are as well. They're like, focus on that, you know, that success of the business owner. I am about prosperity for all. So let's make your business the best it can be for you, your workers, and the communities that you sit within.
Yeah, I mean, we've spoke about this before, not on the podcast, but I mean, certainly our business is about do well, do good. You know, if you are doing well as a business, you can create employment, but the ripples are broader than that. You know, the ripples are, you know, the fact that we sponsor a kids' football team or do community work in schools in terms of financial education. You know, the power of business to do good is huge, right?
Yes, yeah, and that's very much my driver. It's, you know, to stop that gap of loneliness in business, but also so that we can do good for this world. And doing good is good for business.
Yeah, and it's good personally because it makes you feel all right. So it's good. One quick question, and one that I didn't have, but just off the back of your last answer, you mentioned about that self-sabotage. How much of success in business do you think is a mental game? You know,
it's hugely about mindset. It's not. It's just that everything I think is, you know, I had triplets, and I've been in this position where I've been part of a group of mums that have had triplets, and everybody coped differently. For me, it was a mindset thing, and I do it with everything. Like everything you approach, if your mindset's not there, then and your thoughts are, I'm going to fail, or it's not going to work, then that's more likely to happen. So actually, if you start off from a positive place and you manage those negative thoughts and that self-sabotaging way, and I think we've all got it to some degree, and I've struggled with it in the past, then that's half the battle, right? Yeah. Getting your mindset right. And this is actually part of what we do at the beginning. If I feel like the business owners themselves need to have some mindset work or they need some help getting to their why, then we do a couple of sessions on that with people that I bring in, because it really, really is key. And I've learnt myself, I've been through this journey of being mentally strong and protecting my mental well-being, and it is so important.
Yeah, you know what the interesting thing is, I think being a parent is a real good training school for being a business owner, because literally you get thrown in, nobody tells you that, like there's no one book that is the Bible of parenting, and there's no one book that's the Bible of business ownership. No. You learn a bit through reading, through understanding, through trial and error, through listening to other people. But you've just got to keep on making progress, haven't you? That's the reality of it. So although
I wouldn't want to be judged, I wouldn't want my business skills to be judged on my parent skills, that's for sure. I'm not sure I've got it quite right yet.
Especially not during lockdown. I mean, the homeschooling's just gone completely south.
It was practically non-existent, the whole homeschooling. I had 4 of them running rings around me, knowing exactly how to get what they wanted. I was outnumbered.
I have become a bit of a TikTok expert in
oh yeah, mine weren't old enough. I kept seeing these TikToks of these families with older children, and they were all getting. I was thinking, I wish they were older. I definitely wrote them in to do some of those videos.
Yeah, well, I'm starting to share them on my other channels, and I did one yesterday. There's a film that I love, right? And it's a weird one. I only love the first 10 minutes, and it's the Pixar film Up, right? Love it. The first 10 minutes where it's that encapsulation of their life so far, with no words, just music. It's the saddest, funniest 10 minutes of film ever.
No, that's a great film, actually. Really good film.
But it just makes me cry every single time. So Sophie came in yesterday. She'd found the theme tune for Up on TikTok, and we just did a little 15-second one on why the fact.
How's it doing? Are you TikTok famous yet?
No, not yet. I'm not even famous in my own house, let alone on TikTok. So we'll try and get there first. So talk to me about the next step for Sway.
It's all about growth for us, and Sway as a group, we're creating Sway Connect. So growth for the consultancy. Now that I've taken on Vicky, my CRO, and as I said, she's focused on the IT world, so we'll be looking to get some business for her to manage, and then it will be Sway Connect next, which is the business community. I'm very excited about that, which again is all about connecting people.
And when's that? When you planning to launch that? When's that on the?
Well, I think there'll be an online membership autumn time, and then as soon as COVID lifts, then we'll be in-person meets. But well, is that the new year? Is that end of this year? Is that the new year? Is that the middle of next year? I don't know.
Who knows?
As soon as COVID lifts.
Cool. Where can people find out more about you and Sway and the work you're doing? How can they stay in touch?
Well, I think probably the best thing is to connect with me on LinkedIn. So I'm just Sarah Shearman. Sway Evolve just gone for a rebrand, so we're Sway Commerce going to Sway Evolve. But if you find me on LinkedIn, there'll be updates on it of everything on there.
Amazing. Thanks for joining us today, Sarah. I really appreciate it, and I hope.
That's right. Thanks for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
I'm glad. And I hope you've learnt loads and picked up some tips about financial planning, life, business, and what you need to do to take the right next steps in your journey, wherever it looks for you. Have a lovely Thursday. Enjoy the rest of the day. Have a lovely weekend, and we'll see you next week on Cervello Live. See you then. Bye.